All right, so we are back at the ranch. Back at the ranch. So tired yesterday. Holy shit. Holy. Now, what have I done here? I'm experimenting with different cameras, trying to get my lighting and the camera and the audio nailed down so I'm not such an annoying pain in the ass sometimes with the inconsistency of my recording, which I'm not a pro. I don't have a professional team doing anything for me. I don't have anyone doing anything for me, so I gotta learn as I go and figure this shit out on my own, which I'm doing. I'm not complaining. Just rambling before I get going here. I have a lot of stuff to share today. And what else? Today, I just messed with my cordless microphone here, putting it away properly. Somebody's coming on here at 4 o'clock today. Someone from here, from all of you, to speak one-on-one with me about what they know, what they've experienced. And then, excitedly, another man's coming on here with me tonight at 7. We won't be doing it live, but yeah, we're not doing anything live. But I'll be reposting it right away to all you guys, okay? And the man who's coming on at 7 is the man who I shared his email numerous times over the past few years from where I sat on top of that mountain, the blue and white plaid shirt on and the Mount Curry way back behind me, that epic frickin' backdrop. And I believe he was picked up by the shoulders and looked at as a boy by one of these people, and much, much more. So he's coming on at 7 finally. We've been trying to get this man on here with me, going back and forth and trying to line shit up has taken over a month, I believe. Crazy, right? How everything takes so much time. So that's going down. And then I have somebody else on here with me tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Again, we're going to keep that ball rolling with the truth talk flowing. All right? That's what's going down. So I finally got my ass in gear in here, cleaned up my mess. Been playing with the lights to get it, just to get my recording part of this done. My one thing, my one setting for the light, my one camera that I'm going to use, the microphone, the whole 9 yards, so I can be consistent in that department, which it should have been a long time ago, but I suck. So there you go. Also, what else? Sarah made these new decals. Check this out. All on her own. It wasn't a bear. That's the matte version, I guess. And also, I forget what the name of that is. That one where it reflects. I forget. What's that called again? Holographic one. And I believe she's going to get it made into a t-shirt. She got one t-shirt already made. They give you a sample. But I'm not a fan of that great big... It's like having a bright brand new sticker on your t-shirt or whatever, right? So you can get that distressed look. But I remember a while back, I went to the t-shirt place with her to talk to this dude about getting distressed emblems on clothing instead of this bright new patch. And for some reason he said he couldn't do it. I don't know what. But then we looked into it more ourselves as usual, and apparently you can get a distressed vector made, which feeds into their computer, and then they can do it. So I don't know why that guy couldn't do it. But anyways, just so you know, she's looking into getting it onto apparel. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a bear. And she's going to first try to see if she can get that vector for this thing made into a more of a stressed look before it goes, or when it goes on with the article. But anyway, those decals are available in her store, thehowtohuntstore.com. Now, what else do I got? Moving along. I got a lot of emails. I got a lot. And I think I'm just going to start reading right now. I believe, and get this shared with all of you right away. There's so many. So many. All right, let's get back into that other folder that I have set aside for this. And let's get into it, all right? This is from New Zealand. This is an email sent in a while back, luckily found. They all get found and read eventually. Here we go. Listen to this. Not babbling. Hey, Steve, I want to start with acknowledging what you are doing and how good it is. You're creating a safe place for people to talk about what has happened to them. You're doing more than shining a light on the truth. You're creating a space of healing for the people who have been traumatized and transformed by their experiences. Good on you, mate. Thank you. Feel free to use my name. Right on. Thank you for the kind words. Hope you don't mind. I wanted to say a couple things before I get to it. It's my opinion that people don't know how much they are traumatized just by our society and culture. I think they're starting to figure it out, though. Agreed. Let alone recent events. Yeah, I know I can hear some people out there telling me to harden up and stop being a soft cock. I'm speaking about the children, our kids growing up in this mess, and the parents watching it happen. It has been guided and programmed to do so by those dark bastards, as you've rightly called them, who have an agenda. For what I won't say I know because I don't. But suffice as to say, it's most always about power and riches, isn't it? Greedy bastards who probably can't even make a decent fire to save themselves. Right? I'd love to have them in the mountains with me. For all intents and purposes, these people are useless. But somehow they act as if they can't get on without them and the system they created. We got equipment going outside. Sorry, you guys. Oh well. For all intents and purposes, these people are useless, but somehow they act as if we can't get on without them and the system they created. To loosely quote Tyler Durden in the story Fight Club, quote, people buy shit they don't need with money and they don't have to impress people they don't even like, end quote. People instinctively know something is deeply wrong with what's happening these days, but most are too scared to even think about it that way. Most are just trying to get on with life, and as long as the supermarket is stocked with their favorite foods, all the better. Instinct. It's something you have spoken about a few times. It's probably not by accident that so many people are so broken that they don't listen to their heart. Kids should be taught from an early age about situational awareness, but they are not. They're just taught to fear, which is about as toxic as it can get, right? Oh man, so agreed. I'm a solo dad with a 4-year-old daughter, and it's my intention to make absolutely sure that she learns to trust her instincts. If she says there's something in the shadows in her room at night and she sincerely means it, I believe her, because it happened to me. She's wild and free, but not a naughty kid with a good heart. You can't really ask for more than that. Anyway, you can feel it, how messed up things are. It's more obvious when you get back from the bush. It's an assault on the senses. There's such a disconnect now. People are too engrossed in social media. I see so many people with their heads down, staring at their phone, completely oblivious to what's going on around them. Don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of doing it occasionally, but I stay aware of my surroundings for the most part. I don't like to feel too vulnerable. It's a bit like watching cattle beasts at the freezing works, heading up the ramp to the killing floor. They know something's wrong, they can smell it, they can feel it, but they just keep walking because that's where the one in front is headed and the one behind is pushing them on. We're all an integral part of the whole system. Macrocosm to macrocosm, and the spaces in between, spiritually, emotionally, physically, especially the electromagnetic field of the planet. The thing is that there seems to be a concerted effort to separate people from that knowledge, from our birthright. I better stop rambling on and get on to the point being made, eh, mate? Telling you stuff you already know isn't going to get us anywhere. Hold on a minute. Telling you stuff you already know isn't going to get us anywhere, and people want to hear other people's experiences. I guess I just want you to know my angle on things. Appreciate it, big time. Love it. A little background first. I've had weird stuff happen to me since I was an infant, and some of my first memories are of spiritual entities. Contact with aliens or whatever they are is something that has happened too. The funny thing is, I still don't fully understand why or what is going on. And so because of that, I have to say that if I meet someone or hear a person who says that they have all the answers, I instantly mistrust them. You've never said that. In fact, the opposite, so I trust you. You're looking for answers too. These experiences have shaped me and the way I view life. They have shown me to trust my instincts and intuition, no matter how frickin' weird it gets, and not to give a damn about what other people think. Thank God, good for you. For instance, One time I was being laughed at about seeing UFOs. I asked the person when was the last time they actually stood outside and stared at the stars for more than a couple of minutes. If you don't go looking for it, you probably won't ever see it unless you get lucky, right? They couldn't remember, basically never. It shut them down real quick. That's the disconnection right there. Can you imagine not staring at the stars on a good night when you're out amongst it? Unreal, man. Unreal. So anyway, this particular event or events happened in the Tararua. Pronounced Tararua. Tararua Ranges, a few kilometers away from Wellington, my hometown and the capital city, New Zealand. I've been out there for a few days, tramping, or hiking as a lot of you in the north call it, and it was great. I was walking along Marchant Ridge, heading towards the Bull Mound track. The wind was really strong and I was fighting it, but it was impossible to stand up straight, so I eventually gave up fighting nature and dropped down into the bush line on the leeward side to get out of it. It wasn't easy going. Pretty dense bush there. I was making a lot of noise, so when I came out of that and found a big wallow, it was a buzz to see the fresh imprint of a good-sized pig in the mud, but a little disappointing that I'd been so clumsy on a windy as shit day and spooked it. Maybe it scented me, I don't know. It was a great spot. A bunch of trails headed off in different directions from it, and the view was pretty spectacular too. Good real estate. I followed one of the trails down to a creek and followed it for a while until I decided to leave it and cut across a spur. I don't know why I did that. I intended to follow the creek down to the valley below. I was already off my planned route, so if anything serious happened to me, I would have been screwed. No one would have known where I was, and I didn't have a PLB mate. The Toraruas aren't as big as your backyard, but people do die there. Some disappear without a trace, but most get exposure. I just kept going, bush bashing. It was pretty awesome. I'm competent out in the woods, so I knew it was a bit risky, but I wasn't in a panic or anything like that. I was home. Usually I have a plan and stick to it, whether it's the tracks I'm going to use or a general area for hunting, and I let people know that plan. I'm guilty. I've never let anybody know my plans. Eventually I came across something that was out of the ordinary. It was another nice little spot. There was a small creek running down through it, and it was relatively open, mostly native beech. There was a tree, a white pine, or a kahikatea. Kahikatea, standing on the little rise next to the creek. It had a hollow in it, quite big in the tree. I stood inside it, and it was pretty smelly, but not overpowering. A real animal smell, but nothing I've smelled before. At first I thought it was a pig or even a goat. The thing is, it was like whatever had been camping in there had been doing it for a while. It was covered inside in what looked a greasy, sooty kind of substance, which was where the smell was coming from. Greasy, substance, pattern. Like the natural oils from skin and hair. There was no other sign. No hairs or prints, nothing. It struck me that whatever it was must have been big, because I easily fit in the hollow, and that stuff went all the way to the top. I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a dwarf. Taller than any pig or goat, at least. The top would have been about 7 to 8 feet, and I started to feel uncomfortable, like I was trespassing. I wasn't home anymore. I had a weird, immature urge to urinate in there, like marking it as my own, probably because of the mounting sense of fear, but I thought better of it. There was an instant warning feeling when the thought rolled across my mind. I knew that I would regret it. What a dumbass thing to even consider. I don't know where my head was. Would you piss on a tree that bears use to mark their presence? Me? All the time. Off topic. I don't think I would have, but then I don't know squat about bears. We don't have predators in New Zealand. The occasional pack of wild hunting dogs who get lost in the bush, and humans, of course. I left the place, and again, instead of following the creek down to the valley, I kept heading in a northeastern direction parallel to the ridgeline. I knew I should have followed the creek because My intention was to get down into the valley that day, but I didn't. I kept thinking about that tree as I kept going. It was still really windy too, so the trees were swaying around. I wasn't really afraid, but that's the weird part. I should have been concerned about it, at least. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a shrinking violet. I worked as a commercial fisherman, lead deckhand, before my daughter was born. I'm used to bad weather. Say no more, my man. It started to get close to the time to make camp, so I did. It was all pretty uneventful until I bunked down in my tent after a brew and eats as it got darker. I started to really think and realize that I should have stuck to my plan. It was a good few kilometers from where I should have been. No worries though, I was fine. The wind was really blowing still at a rate of knots, and the trees were creaking loudly. I was curled up in my little one-man bivvy, listening to the wind travel through the woods, and I could hear it circle around through the trees, up onto the ridge until it got back to me and beat the bivvy up a bit and shake the trees, then move on to eventually come back. It started to feel weird, like it was messing with me. Then the singing started. It was beautiful and eerie. I can't even really explain it, but it was so haunting. I felt compelled to start looking for the ones who were singing, but I couldn't get a handle of where it was coming from. I wanted to join them. There was such a strong desire to go and see. It was a group of people chanting and singing. There was a sacredness to it and a sense of joy. I listened to it and rolled a smoke, sitting there listening. Wow. I thought maybe it was just a bunch of people down in the valley having a good time, but I knew I was really trying to rationalize it. It was incredibly moving to have had that experience, and I felt blessed. It was pretty strange. After a while, I felt like I should get some sleep, so I lay there, wide awake. The wind was still gusting, the singing began to sound more distant, and after a bit, I crashed out. After some time, though, I woke up. It was basically impossible to get a good sleep with the wind bashing about the trees. The singing had disappeared, but the wind, that damn wind, was still going for it, circling through the trees. And as I lay there, I could hear someone or something outside the bivvy walking around. It could have been deer, I guess. It was on a game trail that I made camp after all. There was fresh sign of deer too, but whatever it was, I felt anxious and afraid. That's not normal for me. Like I said, there's no predators here, so there's nothing really to fear. So I lay down there with my knife in hand, feeling a bit foolish, thinking about that tree, listening to branches crunching under weight. It went on for what felt like forever. Eventually I fell asleep again. The next morning I moved on and headed straight for the valley without mucking around. And to this day I don't fully understand what I experienced. It's possible that I heard the hairy folk, the indigenous people here, the Maori, call them Patupaiarihi. 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 Okay. And there are a few stories about them around. So it's spelled Patupaiarehe. I feel that if I hadn't had the things happen to me since I was little and trusted what I felt in my heart about what was going on, I might have actually gone looking for the ones making that music in the middle of the night in the woods alone. It wasn't just that it was going so far off course for no good reason. I didn't have a map on me either. I usually carry a compass too. I don't really need them though because I know where I am generally. I have a decent sense of direction, and I know that place relatively well. I can't explain the tree. We don't really have Sasquatch here in NZ. There's rumors about something up in the Coromandel up north. Whatever it was, I'm convinced it either tracked me or had followed me because I sensed an awareness of my presence when I looked inside the hole. That day and night has changed how I approach the forest forever. It's still my happy place, my home, but I understand that I share it with more than just the usual suspects. And that's that. Thanks again, Steve. Maybe someday if I win the lottery and this COVID bullshit blows over, I would love to go for a hunt and fish with you. Take care, mate. All the best. All right. Appreciate that email. And I've been talking about going back to New Zealand to hunt a lot lately. I'd really like to do that while I can still run up and down those mountains. And for anybody who might think he's a little crazy for not having anything to navigate with there, it's not hard. It's all mountains, steep mountain valleys and drains. You know where you are and where the water drains. But it's harsh country. It can be really harsh country. Those mountains are like our Rocky Mountains. They're sharp, they're jagged, they're huge, they're deep. There's timber, and there's the jungle there is so thick, it's unbelievable. I remember I was in Hast on the coast. It's Hast, right? On the coast. Hit the ocean, hang a left to the dead end, and I went on that point out there. And I was actually trying to get in the timber where I saw some red stag sign, and I was literally walking on top of vine-like branches and tangle of branches and bush. I don't even know how far down the actual ground was under my feet in that jungle. It was amazing. And these tiny birds with two feathers like that long with a little thing at the end of each one flying all around me in that timber. I'll never forget that. But more so the important part of this email is, yeah, these people have been sighted in New Zealand numerous times, and we've had a numerous emails sent in to us here about it. And the trees. So the mention of that hollowed out tree, my initial thoughts are, who are they trying to avoid by climbing into a tree? Right? From what we know here from all the good people here that have come forward over the years, their senses are outclass us 1,000,000 to 1. They say, and I believe it's true, they know your intentions the second you get out of your vehicle, or before that, when you get to the mountains or the woods or wherever you're going. They know you're there before you can even be within eyesight. They know you're there. So who or what are they hiding from by concealing themselves inside of a hollowed out tree? If I had the senses that these people have, I wouldn't need to crawl inside of a tree ever. I could go anywhere I wanted. I'd feel or know or sense the presence of others in a second, right? Anyway, babbling. Who or what are they hiding from? You know what I mean? Are they not supposed to be here? In something else's eyes that see them clearly? Are they who they may be scared of? Whoever that is, I don't know 100% myself yet. Got a bit of an idea, but who are they trying to avoid big time? Besides us. It's got to be somebody or something. They are answering to somebody or something, because if they weren't, I would imagine they would absolutely annihilate our asses in certain circumstances, but they don't. Okay, rambling. Sorry, I don't need to ramble right now. I need to get people heard. Why did this get saved like this? Look at how this is saved. So you get an idea. Look how those sentences are. This might make it difficult. I don't know. We're going in. Steve, please don't share my name if you decide to read this on your channel. I don't expect you to read this as it's a long one, but feel free to edit it if you want to share the meat and potatoes. Not up to me, man. I hope this finds you, Sarah, and the animals well. Can't begin to tell you how lucky I am that your channel randomly popped up on my YouTube homepage. From then on, I've watched most of your videos. I don't have much free time. Kids, wife, work, business owner, music, etc. Relax and watch your videos. Like what thousands of others are saying, what you're doing for those who hadn't experienced it and asked for is amazingly helpful and kind. Can't wait for you to get your platform up and running. Big tech can F off. Side note, I've never had the want or desire to do social media like Facebook, Instagram, etc. I hate my phone, and I think all this tech is the cause of most trouble with humanity, trying/failing to be human. I see how it's useful, like this channel, etc., and it has its place, but humans as a whole can't handle it, and the government loves that. I totally agree with you on your points about the government's manipulating, controlling, and lying to us. All of your points in regards to that bullshit is spot on, man. Babylon, brother, you speak truth. Appreciate it. I grew up in rural Vermont. Had to look and see if that thing's recording still. And New Hampshire. And was that little kid that didn't much watch TV. Not because there wasn't one to watch, but I would rather play outdoors in the woods, ride my bike, snowmobile, sled ride, ski, especially skiing. When I was outside in the woods, I would always tote my BB gun until I was 8. Then my 22 was when I was older. I loved to pick off chipmunks and squirrels. I was never alone. We had a Malamute wolf mix that was well over 140 pounds. Loved that dog. He was my first big loss in life, and I still remember how sad I was as little as I was. Condolences to you for losing Macaroni. It was super sad to hear when you shared that a bunch of weeks ago. Looks like maybe you got a new horse. Now I've had a bunch the whole time. My father's side of the family moved up to Vermont in the late 70s to be able to hunt and ski, etc. Mom's side is from the eastern provinces. I'm much older now, mid-40s, with a wife and young kids, and have spent a respectable amount of time in the backcountry of the White Mountains of New Hampshire and Green Mountains of Vermont. Lots of multi-overnighting adventures in whatever season, doesn't matter. Totally jealous of your backyard, man. Holy crap, what beautiful country BC looks like. Paradise. Thank you again for all those green screens. Ha ha. Some people. Yeah, back in the day, a lot of people accused me of the backgrounds being green screens. Okay, so here's some screwed up shit that happened out in this neck of the woods. In 1995, my father, 2 uncles, his brothers, my cousin and myself were fishing at night off the bank of the Connecticut River trying to land some huge eels. It was late and we were discussing packing up and heading home. Being close to a hospital, there was always an airlift/medevac helicopter busy, and also that river we were fishing was a VFR corridor for small aircraft. So, seeing landing lights from these small aircraft was nothing out of the ordinary. But that night I saw what we thought was a landing light way off in the distance, headed south, as the river flows north to south. I said to everyone in the group, "Hey, check this out. This guy's getting pretty close." Well, this thing started out small off in the distance and just grew in size within literally a few seconds. It stopped, and as we looked at it above us, it just stayed there for roughly 3 to 4 seconds. Then it flew off east over a large ridge. Flew is a bad word to use. It covered about 5 miles across the sky in 1 second. I know it was that distance because of the ridge it flew over, and that's how far away the ridge is from where we were standing. The path it took from when we first noticed it to when it flew east was north to south, west to east at roughly a 90-degree angle. We were all in shock and knew that just wasn't normal. We were in such a haste to get out of there that I somehow dropped my glasses on the ground only to have to go get them the next day. This all happened within 1 year before my grandfather dying. He was the staple of the family. World War II Navy vet with badass missions he'd always share and had the medals to prove it. This man was tough as nails. He died at home with all of his immediate family around. I was in his room saying goodbye, holding his hand as he took his last breath, almost breaking my hand. No joke. It was the most powerful experience of my life, next to my children being born. Wow. The winter before the orb experience, my dad and one of the uncles that we were fishing with were out snowmobiling late in the night / early morning. I, for whatever reason, was not with them. Must have been at the girlfriend's house. I usually was with them because that's what we did in the winter. Anyways, when I saw my dad the next morning, he told me this gem, quote, "Your uncle and I were stopped on the side of the snowmobile trail taking a break, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, there was what sounded like someone driving an axe into the trees close to us." I questioned him about the sound, how many times he heard it, where it was, and he said it was the loudest sounding, axe-splitting maul sound, I've ever heard. Happened twice in a row, really fast. I got on the sled and had it started quicker than ever because my adrenaline was pumping. I drove off so fast for so long I forgot about your uncle. I stopped to see if he was coming and waited for a few minutes. Along he came, and when he stopped, his eyes were bugged out. I said to my father, I said to my father, I thought it was some kids playing pranks or maybe a landowner scaring off people. He was very much correct in saying that nobody was out there at 1:30 in the morning in those temperatures. He said it was close to the state forest property, about 7 miles from our house, on a trail I was all too familiar with. They were the only ones out there in that area at the time. Before I wrote this to you, Steve, I asked him about these encounters just to make sure that my remembrance of these times jived with what they remembered. Scary how we don't forget. I've never had an encounter with these beings, but when I was a little kid, even up till my late 20s, I went out in the woods thinking that it's totally possible that Bigfoot exists, and always be prepared for anything as best as you can be. That is until I watched a couple episodes of Finding Bigfoot and Survivor Man's bid at making himself look like an a-hole. I came away with the feeling like it was all a hoax. Seriously, my mind was made up. I discovered Joe Rogan about 4 years ago, and he was backing up my suspicions. Like I said in the beginning of this email, I can't believe to tell you how lucky I am to have found your channel. There's no flipping way all these people writing into you, including you, are lying. Absolutely not. When I told these stories to my neighbor as a test to see what they would say, he said, the tree sound was probably the timber settling due to the cold. He also said, there's no Bigfoot, because, like so many people have been brainwashed into thinking, no one's seen any bones, or there's no corpse. He said the orb during the fishing encounter was the space station reflecting light off of itself from the sun. He is also a far-left swinging atheist, say no more. I can't imagine what folks are going through with friends and families not believing them of their encounters. It must be awful. My uncle and I were talking too, prior to me writing this to you, and he has a great theory about the orbs and Bigfoot. He said, it's UFOs effing around. They drop them off here for a while and come pick them back up. Sounds plausible to me, especially if the footprints start or stop out of nowhere, with no influence of wind-blown snow or sand. He had a UFO experience at the beach on Long Island Sound, when he was in his late teens back in the 1970s. That left him and my grandmother so shook up that I could never get her to talk about it. Since I found your channel, I have serious reservations about doing any backcountry trips anymore. I have thousands invested in gear and all the time invested years prior to hone my skills. For what? Maybe it's because I have the family and they need me around, in combination with, if my head's on a swivel the whole time, how can that be enjoyable? I don't want to see one, but in a way I do. I would like to be able to communicate in a way so that they would understand me saying, this land is yours. I'm not here to try to inflict harm to you or your family. And my passing is simply peaceful. Please don't chuck a huge rock at my dome or scream, because I usually don't carry an extra pair of Y-fronts with me in the wilderness. We've heard, I don't think it's this email for sure, but the Y-fronts is New Zealand for underwear. How funny is that? Well, funny to us. Sorry. Some quick fun facts. The business I run requires the utmost in concentration and responsibility, and I have to keep a clean/level head. There are active military bases and a retired nuclear power plant, all within a 70-mile radius of these encounters. Others have seen the orbs. The email from the woman that wrote in from New England, referencing her camping trips with family at Oskutney State Park back in the 70s. That's almost in my backyard. I've never taken the time to reach out in this way before to someone that I've never met in person. After spending a ton of time watching your videos, I felt the need to share this, and I can trust you enough, just like thousands of others. If there isn't anything you could use from the States that maybe you can't get up in California, let me know and I'll try to help. I hope we volley back and forth a bit, because you seem like a brother from another mother. I get it, you're a busy guy, but just know you have my full support and I absolutely love what you're doing. Stay safe out there and keep up the good work. Brian. Appreciate the input, the email, and the words of encouragement and support, Brian. Appreciate you, man. Big time. Big time. I hope more people than not realize what's going on around them, mainstream. If you're missing it by now, come on, really. Holy shit. And I was thinking about that earlier. It's got one more email I'm going to share here in a second. But on that note, though, I was trying to figure out why I get so frustrated with current events and what's going on the planet. But I want you to picture this one. Try to picture this. Try to picture not having a boss since you're like 24 years old, and experiencing like I basically put all my shit in storage years back, and I just went for it. I would go guide in the ocean. I would go up north, up the Alaska Highway to a remote ranch and be on horseback for late July, August, September, October. And all there was to do was to be alive in the real world in the mountains. That's it. I wake up in the morning, saddle up a horse, grab whoever's coming with me, and go wherever you want. Absolutely disconnected from any screen, absolutely disconnected from any news, anything. Just being alive in what I consider the real world. Looking at the sky and seeing how amazing that shade of blue can actually be, and being freaked out because of the color of frickin' blue that's right there. I remember that vividly. Remember that one day. That hitting me in the face like a hammer. Just the color of blue. Running up and down those mountains every single day. All of your water coming from those streams every single day. That's all you drink. Coffee in the morning, but the water from the mountains, you know? Running up and down every day. The air. Freedom. No one telling me what to do. No one. Nothing controlling me in any way. Are you following along? You trying to picture this slice of existing? Exercising and being in tune with your senses. Every single day and night, 24/7, relying on you and using your senses and honing your God-given senses. Right? Using your body the exact way it's built to be used every single day. And meeting people from all over the world and sitting down on a mountaintop talking to them every single day about experiences, knowledge, different views. Picture doing that for years. And then throw in on top of that, getting slapped in the face of some of these what were previously considered outrageous realities. Right? Getting slapped in the face of that reality, what's really going on out there. And then as you grow and mature and you learn more and more, and you've already experienced being pretty free. And then you realize, and you get thrown back into this system, watching the system go, watching how people get manipulated and easily steered in the wrong direction, watching nowadays, today, it's actually, nobody's even upset about it. It's just natural for somebody down the road to raise your kids for you while both of you go to work. Somebody else is raising your kids. I could go on. You know what I'm talking about. But before I don't need to go on. But my frustration level, I try to keep it under a low roar, but my frustration level with what's going on to all of you, all of the people in the world today, I'm so frustrated. Because I can see clearly. It's very, very frustrating. And it's very frustrating because I want to try to help turn it around so bad. So badly. It makes me growl so often as I watch what's going down. And it's so bad. I was talking about it with Sarah yesterday. It was out of the blue. I mentioned to her how amazing it is to watch and see how human beings as a whole can be manipulated to do just about anything. And without any common sense involved. That's very frustrating. I should probably just shut my mouth right now. Excuse me, everybody knows my stance, but man, oh man, I guess we're somewhat making a difference here. Definitely making a difference for a lot of people here on a large scale. But I wish I could help on a larger scale. You know, I really, really wish I could. Maybe one day, I don't know, we'll see, but even know if I'm making any sense, probably not. I'll shut up and let's get some more voices heard. Let's just so you guys all know, I am so frustrated daily. It's amazing. at what is being done to all of the people of the world today. It's not the way it's supposed to be. None of this is the way it's supposed to be. Now, before I read this last email, let's got a text from Sarah. What did she say? Chippy is in second, and he has 6 hours to get to first or he's out. That sounds a little odd, doesn't it? Chippy's in second, and he has 6 hours to get to first or he's out. All right. The link to vote, I'll put in the video below. Help. Chippy needs help. It's time. It's time we vote. Let's hit it. All right. I'll message her back. Okay, we got this. One more video, and I'm going to go vote for Chippy fast. This email is titled, well, that's quite the little ramble outburst, wasn't it? His cranium wasn't like a bear. Salutations. I really am relieved and excited to share my wife and I's encounter. Neither one of us used recreational drugs or pharmaceutical. We were very sober. It was a blue sky day with a few white clouds, and I'm thinking it was around 3,000 feet above sea level. We'd stopped way up at the top of a large ridge line that is in the headwaters of 2 rivers. My wife was pregnant at the time. We were both looking around the area. I had climbed to the top of a gravel pit when I noticed a large black mass. It was alive and moving. It was on the corner of the mountain road we were on up ahead about a half a mile or less. At first, the mass looked like a bear, looked bear-like. But at some point, as my wife and I talked about it, it stood straight up. Now in this area, there were saplings around 12 to 15 feet high, and this life form stood just shy of the tops of the trees along the road. I specifically remember the life form not moving arms or legs at all. It seemed to literally just move off the road into the woods to the left, which was the downhill direction. Immediately after this, a doe leapt violently out from the same side of the forest that the black life form had entered. I can tell you, that doe was out of her mind with fear. She spent just enough time for me to recognize her, and that was circumstantial only. She moved with intent. Later, after discussing the details of the event, I stumbled upon a video of a black bear that could stand up and walk similar like a man. However, the image that my wife and I witnessed did not swing either arms or legs. The cranium also did not face forwards like a black bear would have. The cranium was all together with the rest of the image, so a black bear would not appear like the number 7, and the image seemed to be more like a lowercase l. I really wish I could explain in person because so much gets lost when typing only. I'd like to mention that several years earlier, before the recent logging took place up there, I'd gone for a black bear hunt about 1,000 yards on an adjacent ridgeline. There was only one way up there, no other roads by the one I took to get there, and no other tire tracks beside mine. Seriously, no one was up there besides myself. After using a few predator calls for about 45 minutes, I had heard a noise that sounded unnatural. No woodpecker or elk or deer sounds this way. It sounded like 2 metal objects clanging together in the same rhythm someone might put tent spikes into the dirt with. I'm convinced that this sound was from a Sasquatch, which re-solidifies my conclusion that my wife and I spotted a Bigfoot. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, keep doing what you do. You're appreciated. All right, man, gotcha. You know what you saw. Like I said, I don't know how many times before, if you came here looking for answers, you found this place on your own because you've been digging. And you knew this is the place to share. And ask questions is a good thing, too. So people are always going to chime in the comment section below. But more importantly, you already know what it was. You're sharing with us what you saw. We know what you saw. And tens of thousands of other people have seen the same it. There you go. Welcome to the club. But anyways, I got to move along. We got to get rolling to keep Chippy in the race here. So I'm going to make a short video to slam online for all you to see. And hopefully we can get Chippy in first place before this competition comes to an end. That'd be pretty exciting. And I got somebody coming on at 4 o'clock in a few hours. And I don't know when I'll post that up, probably tomorrow morning, and keep this ball rolling. So share my story at howtohunt.com, all right? Get your emails into me. Get that truth flowing no matter what, no matter how crazy you think it might be. Don't forget, Sarah's got these new decals. There's not that many of each yet. She has, but I think she's got only 50 of each or something like that, so you better get on them if you want them. I'll be back tomorrow. All right, I need everybody's help. I rarely ask for help, but today I'm asked for help, and we've only got 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours left for young Chippy to become the 2025 Junior Ranger contest winner. Now, Chippy has held first place all through since he entered for, I think, a handful of weeks now, but apparently just the other day, they erased all the previous votes. And now this is it. The last finalists are going to be voted for right now, and it's over. Apparently it's over in 6.5 hours, and he's been knocked down to second place. So Chippy, our little young man Chippy, is down to second place. And I'm gonna do all I can to help him win this contest. I hope he does. It'd be very exciting. And he is one avid, little future outdoorsman. Look at him. That's going calling elk with me in the Klanawa River. But anyway, I'll put the link to vote below this video. And if this is Instagram, I don't think I can put a link in here, but please find it. I'll have it on my Facebook profile. We need as many votes as we can get for Chippy right now. Please help. All right, thanks. Thank you so much. The link will be down below.